I always say here on the channel, right, my friends, from one day to the next, a lot of things change. A lot of things, right? This situation with Nicolas Maduro, who do you think this will complicate things for? For Bolsonaro? President Bolsonaro might be being treated unfairly in this situation. Alexandre de Moraes' actions are outrageous, but it's clear he must do this. After all, how can you let the biggest political leader in this country walk around all the cities, showing the massive support of the Brazilian people, while the other attracts no one? The campaign is over. He won't be Superior Electoral Court president next year. They needed to act now. But Moraes, ended up leaving many much higher authorities than them outraged. Trump, you can be sure, will be Lula's Alexandre de Moraes. Trump will be Lula's Alexandre de Moraes. Do you know why? Yesterday, an operation was dismantled by the civil police of Rio de Janeiro. They found a lot of Venezuelan money, tons of Venezuelan money to buy weapons from Venezuela for the terrorist and narco-terrorist organizations here in Brazil. And the Rio police managed to uncover it. Besides the operations that are happening there, the night was intense. Inácio is in a situation extremely delicate. The first one to be reported will be him, you can be sure, there at Fogo de São Paulo. Hit the like button, it's a big Sunday, but with a lot of news. A lot of news. Join our family by subscribing to our channel. I'm already bringing this news here because it caught everyone by surprise. Alan dos Santos, right? One of the greatest journalists this country has ever seen. For me, the greatest journalist on the right. Everything this guy went through, what he faced, guys, he went without seeing his family, right? For more than 3 years. His little daughter, who was just being born. With the federal police entering his house with heavy weapons, as if Alan were a criminal. Even more of a criminal than the first Capitol Command. A super criminal. But here we have democracy. It's a consolidated democracy, the left says. An exemplary democracy. Obviously, democracy is only for them. For them, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Alan posted an article here. Police are investigating if Venezuelan money found in Rio was meant to buy weapons. Police seized 40 million bolivars. He went and tagged Rubio.
The police found a real fortune today in the Caju favela, more than 40 million Venezuelan bolivars.
Only I can leave it here for the reporter. The video's not ours, but it's here. The chief says, I'll play a bit, okay?
The fortune was kept in several suitcases hidden in 2 stolen cars. The criminals even tried to avoid the seizure. They exchanged gunfire with the police. All the material was taken to the police station. No one.
Imagine how many years. This has been happening for many years, for a very long time. That these organizations have been buying heavy weaponry from Venezuela. In an operation carried out in Rio de Janeiro, Venezuelan weapons were found. That's how they get all this kind of material. Now, Secretary Rubio has already been told, look, Rubio has already been here. Alan made sure to. Trump shares Alan's content. The secretary, all the guys from the United States, they follow Alan, Lacombe, and Max. The advisors are always keeping up, the advisors of the American politicians. And then, my friends, look, Karina Michelin, who is an international journalist, she lives in Italy. She wrote here, look, the statement from the President of the United States, Trump, that the airspace around Venezuela is closed. It happened hours after a direct and highly tense call with Nicolas Maduro. Trump called Maduro. According to White House sources, Trump told the Venezuelan leader that the United States would consider using force if he did not step down voluntarily. The conversation, described as frank and severe, marked a point of greater escalation between Washington and Caracas in years. The American hardening comes amid increased military cooperation between Venezuela, Russia, China, and Iran, as well as recent exercises with Sukhoi fighter jets in the Caribbean. For the Trump administration, such moves constitute a threat to hemispheric security. For this reason, the air blockade was accompanied by the repositioning of military assets in the surrounding areas. B-52 bombers, F-18 fighter jets, and warships operate openly with their transponders on, a calculated signal intended for the Venezuelan regime, which is watching everything. And here's a detail I'm telling you. This operation that Trump is carrying out in the Caribbean with thousands of troops, heavy weaponry, and everything else. The military has a routine that's totally different from ours, right? I'm not referring to the Brazilian military. Their thing is jumping jacks, squats, jogging around the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, beans on the plate, 4, 3, 2, 1. That thing, back in the day, we used to think those guys were tough, right? But they don't even defend their own. I'm sorry. Sorry to anyone offended. If they won't defend their own, they won't defend the people. My job's at risk. But what about thousands of others? How many years did Daniel Silveira go without getting paid? How many months has Eduardo Bolsonaro gone without getting paid? Alan dos Santos has been in the United States for 3 years without pay, right? If they won't stand up for themselves, how can they stand up for others? There's no comparison. Now, over there things are serious. Right? Their training is insane. These guys, when they go on training missions, they spend days eating grass and stuff like that. Going underground, doing crazy stuff. Ice cold water, freezing sea. They go in there, they have to stay. It's a huge amount of time that no human being could handle if they weren't really well trained. And these men can't just spend too much time waiting. Because training for them is like food for us, mere mortals. It's like their rice and beans. They have to train to always be, with their boots shining, right? So it's very close. One falls. If the São Paulo furnace falls, it will because it's determined. Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Brazil is likely next, but things can change. Especially with this news, weapons that Maduro is selling to these terrorist organizations. All of this can change overnight, okay? Look, the decision increases Caracas's isolation. International airlines had already cut operations in the country. European governments have warned travelers of risks. With the closure announced by Washington, Venezuela is approaching an unprecedented diplomatic air blockade, increasing the risk of incidents and miscalculations. The White House withheld details, obviously. Complete from the call, but aides confirmed that the message was clear. Maduro's stay in power will not be accepted. With air routes blocked, increased military presence, and little bilateral dialogue, tension in Latin America is at its highest in decades. Look here, Venezuela is isolated. There's not a single plane in its airspace. All around, see? All around, not a single plane in Venezuela's airspace. I'm looking at the map that I'm showing you here. Okay? Mario Nawfal, who's already an American journalist, he posted, "Look, check this out. It's Maduro's plane landed at the Brazil border, and the dictator is fleeing. The Airbus A319, which always transports Maduro, landed in Santa Elena de Guairén. That news that Oliveira Santana from Cable News Network reported. There is no official confirmation that he is on board, but it's obvious that he wouldn't be crazy enough not to be hiding at this moment. Millions of Venezuelans prayed for this moment while starving under his rule. If the rat is running, the ship is sinking fast. Hold your ground, Venezuela. The nightmare may be coming to an end." Look at that. And it's really coming. I can feel that in the next, possibly within hours. So, I'm bringing the play here for you, right? Did you see the president of France meeting Maduro? Or over there in Argentina? Or in Japan and England and Canada and Mexico too. You can add Mexico to that list as well. Have you seen any serious country receive Maduro? No, you haven't. But you saw Boric Koto. That worthless fart doesn't count. bringing Maduro here with the red carpet, punching Globo journalists in the stomach. Right? The guy who always mocks Bolsonaro got punched in the chest by Maduro's security guard. Brazilian Air Force soldiers saluting him. That's why we're angry. That's our anger, and it's justified. We pay for all this nonsense. They do it, but we're the ones footing the bill. We're the ones who pay. The guys saluted Maduro and went to catch a corrupt person in Peru. The Brazilian Air Force, if I'm not mistaken, has Santos Dumont as its patron, right? Imagine that. Now we even import corrupta, and this bum here could be in Brazil. Look at that. Who welcomed him with a red carpet? Do you think the United States isn't watching? Oh, Trump is Lula's best friend, just like Globo claims.
For battle, I need to build a narrative to destroy my potential enemy.
Look.
So Maduro knows what narrative was built against Venezuela for so long. That narrative, for many years, Celso Amorim, who was my minister, and I traveled the world explaining that it wasn't the way people said it was. We traveled the world. Comrade Maduro, I believe it's necessary. You know, the narrative that was built against Venezuela, of anti-democracy, of authoritarianism, you know? So I think it's up to Venezuela to show its narrative so that it can actually make people change their minds.
See, he fiercely defends Maduro. He shouldn't have said that during an election. Here is the news below. A doctor was sentenced to 30 years in prison in Venezuela because she criticized Maduro in a WhatsApp audio message. I even showed it here. This is the kind of person who defends this criminal. It's Lula. Here, as you can see in the images, when he was here, all these hand-picked ministers of Lula, accompanied by him, of course, Lula introducing him to all the ministers. We pay a high price for every ministry, salary, the military, the company, and more. There isn't in the world today a party or a person who defends the dictatorship in Venezuela more than Lula himself and the Workers' Party members. And consequently Globo, as someone who is part of... These guys defend it shamelessly. Just look. He's commenting. It's his passion. That guy over there was almost Dino's deputy at the Ministry of Justice. The camera's vanished. See, Marina Silva is greeting Maduro too. Just look. They're all good people. Imagine the Venezuelan people just like us here, living under a dictatorship. But for much longer, right? Imagine how people feel seeing a country giving safe conduct to a criminal like that, who makes people eat garbage. Although, unfortunately, we also have poverty and misery here, which Lula said was over. He's a liar, even more so. Right? It's two countries with identical situations. All of them. Hey Dad, all of Lula's ministers, Geraldo Alckmin, look at that. Geraldo Alckmin, who used to talk so much about Venezuela, there he is. These people don't have a shred of shame, guys. That's a lack of character. Yeah, a lack of absolutely everything, right? It's a fact. Maduro's wife here, look. Just like Ignacio and Janja, wherever one goes, the other goes. It's like, she's the vice president, right? Just like Janja too, right? Alckmin stepped down to give the position to Janja. Here, look at that. And they mock the people, right? Both of them mock the people more than anything. People call her the mastermind behind Maduro. It's just mockery. All dictators are like that. You see, Maria Corina won the Nobel Peace Prize, but Lula didn't send her a message. As if she were the plotter and Maduro the legitimate one, even though he rigged the election multiple times, not just once. Look, whoever wants money, it's bigger than the Mega Sena lottery. If he's here in Brazil, look, 270 million Trumps, $50 million. Everyone's putting it in. Venezuela is a democracy. That's just political narrative. Go ahead and say, I showed Lula. He's his top supporter. Rafael Fontana says the military action in Venezuela is meant to be swift. The Pentagon decided the goal is to capture and overthrow Maduro by December 14. Next, the attacks will focus on the traffickers in the region. Cuba will be the target from January to March. But look, with this proximity here, I think the target could even change. It might not be Cuba, you know? Let's see. A lot of things change overnight. You saw it, you saw it. I'll be back in a bit. Smash that like button, hit the like button. Subscribe to join our family. I'll return soon with more updates on the Pays Afilios channel.